Hello everyone and welcome to another review. Today we're going to go ahead and review a fragrance from the house of Viktor Rolf. It is none other than Spicebomb. Very popular fragrance. This fragrance was released in the year of 2012. I'm sorry I haven't gotten around to it. There's just a lot of things that have come up, and I actually meant to review this one earlier in the week, but now that I'm here, let's go ahead and let's get into it. Again, released in 2012. What you see here is the 1.7 ounce. It's going to run you about $85. The 3 ounce is going to run you about $105, and the 5 ounce is going to run you about $145. All of those are without tax. So it's a little bit of a pricey fragrance. I mean, most designer fragrances that are around this size are going to run you anywhere between $40 and $60. And so for this being $85, it is on the pricier side for fragrances. Now, the design of the bottle, it's made to look like a grenade. So you can see the grenade-ish, and you kind of pull this, and that's basically you taking it off, and you can go ahead and spray it. It's very Le Mans-esque, if you will, with the way they have this cap. But either way, so this is the presentation. The parfumé is Olivier Paul, who has done a bunch of very highly renowned fragrances that have gotten accolades, basically. So this one kind of had high hopes coming into it. I remember there was a lot of hype for this fragrance when it actually first came out, and for good reason, I guess you could say. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the notes of this fragrance. The notes. At the top, we have bergamot, grapefruit, elemi, and pink pepper. For our mid, we have saffron, cinnamon, and paprika. And for our base, we have vetiver, tobacco, and leather. Alright, so before I get into that, there's a note there that many people might not know, and it's called elemi. What elemi is, it's basically a resin, I believe from Southeast Asia, might be Indonesia, forget exactly where, but it is a resin. So that should kind of complete things out. But either way, I'll tell you right off the bat, I don't get any of the citrus notes, so the bergamot, the grapefruit, I don't get that at all. What I get is pretty much a heavy cinnamon, heavy tobacco, heavy leather type of a scent. I think it's aptly named. Spicebomb is aptly named because it does have an essence of spices just all around in the actual fragrance. So that part is actually extremely good. It does extremely well with the actual fragrance. That said, it's not too spicy. Too spicy fragrances either make me sneeze or make me sick. And this doesn't have that. It comes off very smooth. And I suspect that it might be either the vetiver and the leather, or especially the leather, that kind of smooths it out and gives it that smooth feeling. So if you want to think of another type of scent that it actually reminds me of, and it doesn't have this note in it, but it reminds me of apple pie. Like an apple pie type of a fragrance, but I wouldn't say like a true apple pie. It just reminds me of it. So there are other fragrances that I've said that smell like apple pie. There's Ambre Narguilé from the house of Hermes. There's Boss Bottle number 6 that kind of has an apple pie vibe, and there's L'Homme that kind of has an apple pie-ish vibe. This kind of is less than those fragrances that I just mentioned. Maybe about the same par of L'Homme, but it does have a nice, spicy, smooth type of a scent from the leather that comes across in it. Comes across as very masculine. I wouldn't say that it comes across as feminine at all, despite the fact that it's got those spices in it. And it really just has this nice, sexy type of appeal to it. Despite the fact that, it has these notes that really project, it's still very smooth and can come off as laid back as well. Spicebomb is aptly named, like I said. I generally go about 3 to 5 sprays for this one. The reason why I go about 3 to 5 sprays is pretty simple. It really depends on the year. I consider this a year-round fragrance, and when it's a little bit hotter, that's when I tend to tone down the sprays, use maybe 1 to 3 sprays. But when it's colder, and I believe the best month for this is actually fall. You can wear it again year-round, but I believe the best month is fall. When it's fall, that's when I start putting on 5 sprays, and it really comes into its own for it. One thing you might want to be careful of, though, is I have heard a couple things, and it's happened to me once or twice, basically, where it's been a little bit too much that I've applied, and it becomes a little bit cloying, and it gives you a headache. So this can be headache-inducing if you put too much. So as always, test if you can, see what works best for you. Again, so age group, I would say all age group can wear this. So whether you be in college, whether you be a high schooler, if you're a high schooler, actually, I think this might be a good deal for you. Or a good fragrance for you. As far as the price goes, that's another thing. But if you wanted to go ahead and make this your signature scent, or something like that, I could definitely see that being worked out, because that brings me to the occasion that I can see it being worn, and that's casual date night. The only scenario that I would say kind of shy away from, it doesn't really suit me for work. You could go ahead and pull it off, but it's just a little bit too, just doesn't really fit work for me. But as always, it's always up to you whether or not where you want to wear it, when you want to wear it, and all that great stuff. All right, performance. Now, performance on this one, I get between 8 and 12 hours on this one. I have heard some people getting more, some people getting a little bit less, and it has been a little bit, iffy in terms of performance at some times, but generally between 8 and 12 hours. The projection is pretty good. Now, by pretty good, people are going to smell you, as you go by, and they're going to smell you a little bit of ways, and it's going to leave a nice little scent trail around you when you scent. So the sillage is actually pretty good as well, too. So with that, as with all my fragrances, I always take them to Times Square, have 100 random people test it, usually a split between 50 guys, 50 girls, and they tell me whether they like it, dislike it, or they think it's just neutral. And 81 people liked it. The comments that they had were that it's sexy, it's manly, it's sweet, it's mysterious, so it's a very good crowd pleaser, especially when you spray it on and have people smell it, and they're just like, wow, they love it. There were 11 people, I believe. No, 10 people who disliked it. Of the people who disliked it, they said that it was too strong, they said it was cloying, and some people said that it was nauseating. And there are 9 neutrals, basically. And the neutrals were kind of a mix between both. But one thing that is note, some of them did say that it was a little bit nauseous to them, but it did smell good. So that may be one thing to keep in mind. I'm not sure if there's any note they could be doing it, but yeah. Either way. So the rating that I would give this fragrance, a solid 8 out of 10. I give it a solid 8 out of 10 because it's not going to jump any of my other fragrances in terms of wearing. I still like a couple others better. So for example, if I was to compare this and put this in a vein with some fragrances, I might put it in a vein with Paco Rabanne's 1 Million, maybe La Nuit de l'Homme, a good night out fragrance. I would put it in the vein of those fragrances. So it kind of fits those bills, and to me, I would say that it would be better. I would rather have this than Paco Rabanne's 1 Million. 1 Million suits its purposes. I just think this is a little bit less annoying, if you will. So yeah, take with it what you will. So if you have any questions whatsoever on this review, please feel free, leave a message down below, send me a note, do whatever you gotta do. That's about it. Take care, guys.